Are you ever tempted to think that small details don't matter? Think again. And welcome. I'm Emily McHugh, your author, your coach, your business strategist and guide. And I'm here to welcome you to another Momentum Monday, where today we have some interesting insights to share on the topic of small details matter. And as a matter of fact, not only do they matter, but they matter a whole lot. In fact, so much so that we cannot afford to underestimate the importance of details. And anytime you may be tempted to think, well, that's kind of minor, that's not such a big deal, that's exactly when you want to think again, because that's when a seemingly small deal can quickly become a very big deal indeed. Okay, where are my guys? They're not out. My sound effects. My sound effects are taking a vacation. No, they have to be brought back in. Okay, they have to do their job. Okay, so I want to give you an illustration, a very brief illustration to make the point of how important small details are. So let me ask you, have you ever heard of that pesky little bug called a termite? Okay, that insect. I happened to learn quite a bit about this termites this past week when I actually got to see them in action working. And I learned that there's two main types of termites that are popular: subterranean termites and drywood termites. And the one that I saw was a subterranean termite. And just like its name denotes, it's subterranean, so it's under the ground and it comes up through the ground. And it will just eat the infrastructure of your house or building. And it's looking for damp or moist areas or anywhere there could be a leak or anything like that. It will find itself there to have a feast, pretty much. Okay, so let me show you something else I learned. So these Formosa subterranean termites, specifically called Formosan, because apparently they were originally from Asia, and the old former name of Taiwan is Formosa, so I presume they were from that area of South Asia in the Taiwan region, Formosa. And they were brought to the US, I think, on some ship during the 1950s and created an infestation of these unique little termites that create a lot of damage. Now, when you see a termite, it looks insignificant. It looks minor. It looks like, what can that little thing do? That little thing, with all its forces together, maybe by itself, it can only do so much. But when it's with the colonies of millions of other termites, it can tear a house down. And so there's some powerful lessons to learn from the termites. Number one, they're very determined. They insist on achieving their goals. They will not be deterred unless they are stopped. And they have to be stopped aggressively at that. Okay, let's see. They have to be stopped quite aggressively. And they cannot be underestimated. So now I ask you, take that parallel, put it in a business context, put it in a life context. Is there a situation in your business that you might have been minimizing, thinking, oh, that's minor, that's not such a big deal? Or have you ever heard this one? Oh, my accountant is taking care of that, or my lawyer is taking care of that, or someone else is taking care of that. I'm not going to bother worrying myself because someone else is taking care of that. Well, I have you know, even if you hire professionals, accountants, lawyers, it is still incumbent upon you, the business owner, the entrepreneur, to know what's going on in your business. Yes, you hire professionals to help you because they have their extra level of expertise, which is important, but you are still responsible for what goes on in your business. Yes, you are. Okay, this thing looks like it's going to hit me in my head, right? You're responsible for your business and what goes on in there, and you cannot relegate that responsibility to anyone else. Now, for example, when you file taxes, even though you may have a tax preparer, you as the business owner are still liable for what is filed because you have to sign it, you have to sign off on it, therefore you have to authorize it. So I encourage you to think about anything that you might be overlooking, thinking, oh, that's minor, that could become quite major. Thinking of our little pesky little insects, these Formosan termites who don't give up and they keep going unless they are stopped. So that's going to take me to sharing with you something that I feel it's important for you to keep in mind. I would love for you to just take out a sheet of paper, write a list of maybe 3 things that you may have been minimizing, 3 things that you may have been overlooking, 3 things that you could have been neglecting in your business that, if you continue to do so, could potentially cause future challenges for you. And you might like, Emily, that's not very comfortable. I'm not really, yeah, well, I wouldn't be a good coach if I weren't here to hold you accountable and to remind you of these things that many entrepreneurs or business owners can overlook because they get caught up with all the other things that they're doing. They get caught up running their business and all the demands of that, and maybe some of these smaller, finer points they minimize. And that's why I'm putting the challenge to you for you to think about what could be some of those things. Sometimes when you're in a hurry to hire someone, let's say that could be an example, you might overlook the fact that there's something on their resume that doesn't sit well with you. You may overlook the fact that you don't particularly like something that you saw or something that they said, and you think it might predict potentially issues in the future. But you chose to ignore it because you really need to hire somebody, or you really are feeling desperate for support. And I encourage you in those moments to step back and do not overlook those things that you would turn a blind eye to because of the needs of the moment. Those are the things that in the future are definitely coming back. They are going to come back and they're going to cause all the problems in the world. So, with that, I want to go right into today's Mindset Minute, reminding you that the big impact of small things. Sometimes we really tend to overlook and minimize and underestimate the power of the impact of something that is small. And it's really critical to put into perspective whether something that's considered small really could be big and will ultimately have a big impact. And as they say, the devil is in the details. And when I first heard that quote in business, I was like, what? What devil? What are you talking about? Well, that's exactly right, because that is where the opportunity for error exists, in the details, those small points that you overlook, small points that you think, no one's going to notice. Why bother? That is precisely the difference between a profit and failure or not being successful in business. So there you have it, your Mindset Minute for today. So I hope this little talk, these little reminders will be helpful to you. And as you think about it, as you make that list, share with me, share in the comments, share below, DM me on Instagram at Emily the Entrepreneur, or in the when you subscribe to me right over here on at Supercharged Coach, that you will share these thoughts. Let me know what details you might be overlooking or haven't overlooked and want to remind us to make sure we do the same. Okay, with that, have a great week. See you next time and stay supercharged.